Our protagonist, a typical high school student, wakes up feeling a little dizzy and confused in a hospital bed. He's pretty sure he didn't sign up for this, and he starts wondering how he ended up here. His painful past, though, comes rushing back, making him remember how much of a punching bag he used to be at school. Ridiculed by delinquent students, he was the school's walking joke, the one everyone thought was weak and scared. Standing up to his bullies. Yeah, that never crossed his mind. He hated himself for it, and he hated everyone who ignored his suffering. He wallowed in self-pity, wishing for a life reset, hoping to start over. Little did he know, fate had something else in store for him. One day, he gets summoned to an alternate world, and a beauty welcomes him in the new world, calling him Messiah Sama, which he instantly corrects, revealing his real name, Yamato Takeru. There's this demon lord causing chaos, but Takeru, being Takeru, thought his existence in this fantasy world was just a cruel joke, as a chicken heart like him can't fight a demon. But then, with the help of Edelweiss, this super cute saint, he learns to cast magic. And bam! Things start changing. Takeru starts working on his courage and, believe it or not, actually gets stronger. But just when he thinks he's winning, he defeats the demon lord, and instead of being called a hero, he gets dubbed a threat to humanity. Classic. The Prime Minister wants to eliminate him before he betrays everyone and takes over. Takeru can't even defend himself, his wrists bound by magic chains. He is being asked about his last wish, and the crowd's getting ready to see him executed. But amid it all, there's Edelweiss shedding tears for him, and Takeru's like, well, at least someone cares. Fast forward to now, he's back in the hospital, trying to stay calm and figure out what's going on. He's skeptical if he's really died or if he was just dreaming those past 3 years. To test it out, he gets up from the bed, but his reflection in the window catches him off guard. Who is this stranger staring back at him? He's like, bro, I didn't sign up for a face swap. And before he can process it, he falls to the floor from the shock. His body feels like a wreck, bone fractures everywhere. He casts a recovery spell, and boom, the pain disappears. That's when it hits him. Maybe everything was real, but still, the new body. Not quite what he expected. Out of nowhere, a woman bursts in, screaming his name and giving him a hug. The doctor's losing her mind because his injuries were so serious, but somehow, he's fine now. Takeru realizes the woman probably thinks she's his mom. Not wanting to drop the "I'm not the real Takeru" bomb, he pretends to have amnesia. Smooth, right? Later, he finds out he fell from a school rooftop while hanging out with his friends and got hospitalized. Oh, and apparently he shares the same first name as the guy whose body he's in, but their last names are different. He's like, wait, I'm not Takeru, but I'm kinda Takeru. The doctor's still in shock because even the best healers couldn't have fixed him up this fast. Then his dad walks in, hugs him, and says he doesn't care if Takeru doesn't remember them, just as long as he's alive. Takeru is stunned at seeing such a display of affection. He's not sure how he ended up in someone else's body, but he promises to give the original Takeru's body back, no matter what. The doctor runs all kinds of tests on him, and once they confirm he's all good, he's finally discharged. As he heads home with his parents, he's kind of impressed by how advanced the hospital tech is. Everyone's speaking Japanese, so yeah, he's pretty sure he's back in Japan. Then the news on TV drops a bomb. It's 2040. Takeru's brain is like, wait, wasn't it 2000 when I last checked? And just when he's processing that, the news goes full fantasy mode, showing goblins and ogres and the hunters who are fighting to protect others. Takeru's just there, like, brah, what? As if that wasn't enough, his mom casually mentioned she wants to be a hunter. His dad shoots that down real quick, saying she'd get herself killed on the battlefield. Takeru's still stuck in his thoughts, watches hunters casting magic and fighting monsters, reminding him of the fantasy world he left behind. Suddenly, a massive crack tears through the sky, and Takeru's dad is panicking, trying to steer their car away from it, but a guardrail blocks them. Takeru, thinking fast, casts a barrier just in time to save them from crashing into it. His parents are shaken but fine, but then the universe decides to throw some more chaos at him. He finds monsters similar to that of another world, and his father warns him about a gate break, urging them to run. Ogres start tumbling out of the crack, and Takeru's like, I've seen these guys before. They're not that bad, but regular people, they are nothing in front of them. He's got the power to handle this, but he's worried if he shows off, he'll be labeled a threat again. He can't afford to mess this up, not now, not ever. He is in someone else's body, and he doesn't want to risk it by blowing his cover. He decides to run, but then he sees his parents about to get squashed by an ogre. Totally out of ideas, he launches a flare burst that wipes out the monster, saving his freaked-out parents in the process. He rushes over to check on them, spinning some story about how a random hunter helped out, even though he's the one who did all the heavy lifting. His parents totally believe it, but he notices something odd. After his attack, someone else tossed a spell at the ogre. He turns his head and spots a mysterious girl with her hand on fire. Cool, but also kinda suspicious that can create problems for him. After the chaotic scene, the Kusanagi family walks home. They talk about how close they came to meeting their doom, but thankfully no major damage was done. A few minutes later, they're back at their place, and his mom starts teaching him how to use a phone. It's all so high-tech that Takeru's brain can't even keep up. Once she leaves, he starts snooping around the room, hoping to find something useful to figure out what happened to him. Sadly, no diary or clue to uncover the mystery of Kusanagi, and the only thing he got is a dirty magazine. Honestly, what else can you expect from a teenager? Then he stumbles upon a book about the hunters. He skims through it and learns that there's a ranking system and a special report. Turns out, these hunters are treated like celebrities, which is weird since he's used to encountering all kinds of weird stuff in another world, but that Japan is somehow different from the one he had been. Still, figuring out how to use a phone is way harder than defeating demon lords. As if that wasn't enough stress, his phone buzzes with a new message. Takeru nearly loses it, but then he unlocks it using facial recognition. Quite fancy for him. The message is from someone named Araki, and the hateful words instantly make him think that he might be the one used to torment Kusanagi. The message threatens that once they meet again, things will get ugly. Just to make sure Takeru gets the point, Araki sends a picture of himself in boxing gloves. Takeru's not scared, but he's kind of stressing over how much it must have cost to send all that, especially the photo. As he yells, his mom bursts in, telling him about the Wi-Fi, which confuses him even more. She apologizes for not knocking and says living with amnesia can be rough, so she suggests he take it easy before heading back to school. He uses this downtime to dig into anything and everything he can on his phone. In a flashback, Takeru remembers when he was first summoned to the fantasy world 30 years ago. Gates to other worlds started popping up everywhere, and monsters caused mayhem because modern weapons were totally useless against them. But then, magicians showed up with magical powers and started handing the monsters their own behinds. They passed their knowledge down through the generations, so now everyone can learn magic. With that, monsters started getting squashed. Those who took on the monsters directly were called hunters, and their job was to close up gates and fight whatever came through them. Takeru takes a walk through the city, but an old man suddenly calls out to him for texting while walking. Scratching his head, Takeru walks across the street, eventually making his way to the city center. As he looks around, he realizes that modern society has fully embraced magic, though it hasn't quite hit him yet. He wonders if he'd want to go back 40 years, but somehow, he still feels a bit lonely. Out of nowhere, a woman yells for help. Someone just snatched her purse and ran away. Takeru notices the snatcher is using magic to boost his speed, way faster than anyone on a bike. It's like a physical speed boost, but on steroids. Without hesitation, he catches up, leaving the guy regretting his life choices. The woman, grateful and with her kid in tow, thanks Takeru. The kid even praises Takeru's speed, calling it an uncommon technique. Takeru can't help but chuckle and mentally notes not to show off too much next time. An elderly lady, nearly toppled by the snatcher, approaches to thank him, pressing a handful of candies into his palm. Takeru smiles, a wave of nostalgia washing over him as he recalls his grandmother, who always rewarded him with sweets after giving her a massage. Before parting ways, he expresses his gratitude, warmed by the thought that some things, no matter how much time passes, remain unchanged. Just as he's about to head home, someone sneaks up behind him and tries to attack. Takeru easily dodges the punch, only to find that it's Araki, Kusanagi's bully. The guy's clearly annoyed with Takeru for ignoring his text messages. Takeru, finally putting two and two together, realizes this guy's the one in the photo. He calls him by his first name, and the bully's blood boils. He's all mad about Takeru dropping the honorifics. Araki, acting all high and mighty, reminds Takeru that he's his senior. Takeru, however, couldn't care less. It's like no matter where he ends up or what timeline he's in, bullies just follow him around like bad luck. Araki is adamant about insisting on being called Araki-kun, like he's some kind of VIP. The guy blames Takeru for his recent police troubles, which ended with his dad giving him a non-stop beating. As the bully's voice gets louder, Takeru stays calm, letting him vent. In the back of his mind, he finds it funny how, even after 40 years and a different life, guys like this still exist. Apparently, the original Takeru of this body had the same problems he did in his first life, but unlike before, when he would have been scared stiff, Takeru now sees this bully as nothing more than an angry puppy. Fighting dragons in another world was way scarier than dealing with this guy. Takeru's amusement makes him chuckle, which infuriates the bully, and the guy tries to land a punch. Takeru effortlessly dodges, barely trying. As Araki struggles, Takeru wonders how to end this. Sending the guy flying would be too flashy, so he thinks of just tripping him with a stomp. But then the guy insults Takeru's parents, and that's where Takeru draws the line. He lands a punch, surprising both of them. Araki is furious now and, in his desperation, starts casting offensive magic. Takeru can't help but roll his eyes. This guy's reaching. Before things escalate further, a gate break happens out of nowhere, and a monster appears. The ogre, clearly not in the mood for drama, punches Araki so hard he's out cold in seconds. Takeru, briefly worried, confirms Araki isn't dead, just down for the count. With no one around and the bully taken care of, he decides to clean up the mess. He rushes towards the ogre and starts beating it, spinning it around like a rag doll. One punch later, the ogre is down, falling near Araki like trash thrown away. Takeru looks at the mess he has created and decides to close the gate by destroying the magic circle. Turns out, his theory from his otherworldly experience works here too. When the authorities show up, they're baffled. A bloody ogre taken down in one hit. Gate closed, and all they find is an unconscious Araki who clearly doesn't have the mana levels for this feat, so they conclude that the boy might be fighting with his classmate. The higher-ranking officer starts piecing things together, remembering a similar incident involving Takeru from the past. She heads off to investigate the Hunters Association, curious about this mysterious powerhouse. Some onlookers recognize her as Sakura, the youngest and most beautiful S-rank hunter. Sakura is still mulling over how someone defeated a bloody ogre so easily, and in addition, they closed the gates too. She wonders if there is another stronger hunter than her in this town. After a short break from school, Takeru heads back, this time as a student at Kazami High School in Tokyo. It feels oddly familiar to him, sparking memories from both his current and past lives. His dad's worried face flashes in his mind, urging him to stay home longer, but Takeru knows the real one wouldn't want to fall behind. As he waits on campus, he notices the cheerful chatter of students. It seems like a typical high school, but he wonders what could have driven Kusanagi to such despair, but quickly shakes off the comparison to his own past. Life had handed him a second chance in another world, a world where he wasn't alone. Back there, Edelweiss had accepted him as he was, and he'd even dreamed of creating a world where everyone could laugh freely. Her radiant smile pops into his head, and, flustered, he snaps himself back to the present. No time for daydreams. It's high school time. Takeru heads straight to his classroom, only to find everyone already seated, waiting for class to start. The teacher announces that, from this day on, Takeru will be rejoining classes. His injuries have caused him to suffer from amnesia, so the teacher asks everyone to lend a hand and support him as he adjusts. Once the intro is over, he takes his seat at the back, and it's pretty clear that his classmates couldn't care less about his return. Then, as if summoned by some cosmic force, Araki bursts in, practically radiating pride. Apparently, everyone now believes he single-handedly took down the bloody ogre the other day. He's so full of himself, he even says it was expected of someone as great as him. Spotting Takeru in the back, Araki's pride falters. He recalls the ogre flooring him with a single punch. The memory stings. Embarrassed, he breaks character, opting to ignore Takeru instead of his usual teasing. While everyone focuses on Araki, one student, a timid boy with glasses, can't help but worry about Takeru. He awkwardly asks if Takeru's okay, considering the amnesia. After realizing that Takeru probably doesn't remember him, he introduces himself as Sawamura Takeru. Turns out, just like Takeru, Sawamura is a huge fan of hunters, so the two of them used to chat all the time. Takeru's pretty shocked by this. He didn't expect the original owner of this body to have any friends, let alone someone who actually cared. As the day goes on and school lets out, he feels more drained than expected. Sure, he's definitely gotten stronger physically and mentally from his time in the other world, but his brain's still a bit of a mess. He wasn't exactly a genius back in high school either. Forgetting to study was practically his specialty, and now the textbooks aren't even made of paper, so learning feels a whole lot harder than before. Despite the struggles, Sawamura is impressed that Takeru is handling the whole amnesia thing so well. Takeru reassures him that he's improving every day, no need to worry. After some conversation, he asks about Kusanagi, and Sawamura instantly calls him the kindest person he's ever known. Their talk is interrupted by a group of bullies. While their minions mock Araki for changing after being questioned by the police, Araki stays calm despite their relentless taunts. Takeru pays them no mind, ignoring their antics, until Sawamura steps in, surprising everyone by asking if they need help with their studies. Suddenly, the minions are all smiles, practically jumping out of their seats, and of course, they eagerly accept. So, they all head off to the library, leaving Takeru behind. But the moment they leave the room, Takeru feels like something's off. He asks his classmates, and after a quick round of questioning, he figures out that they're definitely not going to the library. The rooftop is out of the question too, since it's been locked down after the whole incident. One classmate mutters that they might be headed to the industrial building behind the school. Without another word, Takeru bolts out of the room, leaving his classmates in a state of confusion over his sudden mood shift. Meanwhile, the trio of bullies is having a field day, beating Sawamura senselessly. Takeru arrives just in time to see Sawamura writhing in pain on the ground. As someone who's borrowing Kusanagi's body, Takeru's not keen on jumping into these kinds of situations. He hesitates, unsure if he should get involved. But as he watches Araki grabbing Sawamura by the hair, Araki, as usual, calls him an idiot for not asking for help, and for once, Takeru kind of agrees with him. Even so, he figures Sawamura must have chosen to be alone with them to protect his friend. Takeru's itching to jump in and save him, but with Kusanagi's safety as his top priority, he holds back for now. The bullies, in the meantime, keep taunting Sawamura, demanding that he scream Kusanagi's name to get help. But Sawamura, gritting his teeth, just ignores them. At that moment, he admits to himself that he abandoned Kusanagi, his friend, when he needed him most. Now that he's alive and well again, he can't bring himself to ask for Kusanagi's help after everything he's gone through on his behalf when he was the one who was targeted. Sawamura decides he'll take the punishment and suffer on his own, swearing to save his friend one day. Interestingly, as Sawamura keeps taking the beatings, Takeru feels a strange tightness in his chest. It's almost like he's feeling someone else's pain, and he can't quite shake the feeling. Speaking of pain, Sawamura is still being used as a punching bag, while Araki, all smug, declares they didn't come here to study, they came here to play and take out their frustration of Kusanagi. At that point, Takeru's had enough. He steps out of this hiding spot, walking in like he owns the place, ready to be their next playmate. His entrance is all dramatic, wearing the same smug grin as Araki. The two minions laugh off Takeru's dramatic entrance, but their actions say otherwise. They're clearly on edge. Their leader, Araki, keeps his guard up, but in the end, Sawamura loses consciousness, and they mock him for being weak. Takeru, however, isn't having it. He disagrees, confidently calling his friend strong as he heals Sawamura's badly injured body. The two bullies laugh, calling Takeru delusional, but then, bam, one of them gets his face smashed like a tin can after receiving a solid right hook. Down he goes, and his buddy isn't far behind. He accidentally bites his own tongue after getting kicked in the face. Enraged, they both jump back up and decide to team up to take Takeru down, but it doesn't go as planned. Their heads collide with a sickening thud, leaving them stunned and dizzy. Araki steps in to intervene, but Takeru easily pins him to the ground. Much to Takeru's surprise, the bullies refuse to give up, conjuring up magic circles as if they'd got a chance. It's clear these two share some brain cells with Araki, and the fact that they're resisting just makes things easier for Takeru. He can't help but think back to when he made a huge mistake during the war with the Demon Lord's army. He wiped out enemies left and right, but when a lone survivor claimed the Demon Lord was forcing him to fight, Taker couldn't bring himself to finish the job. That decision came with a price. A village was destroyed, turned into a ghost town. Lesson learned. Finish what you start. And right now, those bullies are about to get their dose of that lesson. But just as Taker's about to break their will, things take an unexpected turn. A blue gate opens, and out pops an ogre, nearly causing Taker to blink in surprise. The bullies freak out and run to Araki, begging him to deal with the monster, since he's the guy who supposedly took down an ogre single-handedly. Araki, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else, stands up and fires off a fireball, only to have the ogre casually swatted away like it's a cotton ball. The ogre sends him flying into the air, leaving his friends to scatter like cockroaches. Now, the ogre shifts its focus to Takeru, but he's ready. He summons multiple fireballs at once, and with a few quick shots, the ogre is nothing but ash. Araki stares in disbelief, calling Takeru a monster. He can barely say a word as he watches the person he used to bully heal him. The plot thickens when Takeru taps the ground and makes it crumble beneath Araki, freaking him out. Takeru then tells him to keep up the act, claiming he defeated another ogre for the sake of laying low. With no witnesses around, Takeru's sure no one will know the truth. His final command? He tells Araki and his minions to stop bullying people, or else. He warns them that if they don't behave well, they won't like how things end for them. Just then, the hunters arrive at the scene, and Takeru quickly takes Sawamura out of there, reminding Araki to stick to the plan and deceive them. Later, back at the Hunter Training Technical School, a report about the gate break reaches Sakura. She listens intently, noting that everything had been handled when she arrived. Her subordinate, nervous, apologizes for any mistakes, but Sakura's eyes narrow. She doesn't believe the person who claims to have slain the ogre. The magical remnants at the scene suggest whoever did this is no ordinary human, and the energy feels downright monstrous. Seeing her subordinate's fear, Sakura decides to take the case into her own hands. As she heads off, her subordinate can't help but shout about how cool and beautiful she is, causing Sakura to blush and awkwardly squat down. She hates that people focus more on her looks than her skills. All she wants is to prove herself as a capable hunter, not just some pretty face. After a bit of internal monologue, she finally stands tall again and receives a report about Araki getting into an argument. With Araki out of the picture, Sakura is more determined than ever to find out who's behind all this. She's not just doing it for herself, but for her family too. The next morning, she heads to Kazami High School ready to track down the mystery person and get to the bottom of things. Sakura labels the situation as irregular, though it's hard to take seriously when Sawamura's eyeglasses shatter at the sight of Araki now acting totally different from his usual barbaric self. His minions are still poking fun at him, but the rest of the students are left wide-eyed, unable to believe their own eyes. When the chaotic duo notices Sawamura, Araki quickly steps in to shoo them away before they cause any more trouble. Takeru arrives on the scene and greets his friend with a grin. He checks in on Sawamura's injuries, who casually mentions he got them from falling down the stairs. Talking to himself, Takeru admits that he wanted to heal all of Sawamura's injuries, but then he remembered the doctor's warning about the limits of proficient healers. Both of them play it clueless about what went down yesterday. They chat about what they did after school, but when Sawamura asks about Araki's strange character development, Takeru suggests they leak the details. Meanwhile, inside the school, Sakura is wandering around when she stumbles upon some students practicing magic. One of them completely botches a spell, accidentally setting the teacher's hair on fire. Classic. Sakura is reminded that the Hunter Association manages all the hunters, and her mind races as she remembers her target, someone with enough power to walk around town freely. She worries about what this person could do and notes that even top-tier hunters make mistakes sometimes. Her desperation to catch this irregular only grows. Her thoughts are interrupted when she's approached by Valkyrie Orochi, an S-rank hunter, who asks her why she's at Kazami High. Sharing the same question, she asks him the same thing, and the conversation takes a turn when she learns that Orochi is a guild master for the Aros Guild, overseeing the Taki region. When she asks if it's okay that he left his guild members behind, Hibikawa coolly says he's got great people who can handle things on their own. Tension rises between them as Sakura recalls that the Aran Guild is notorious for its aggressive methods of scouting. She decides to press him on the guild's recent attempts to acquire more power by causing a stir. Orochi neither confirms nor denies her accusations, keeping his poker face on. When she asks if he fears the god of war, he brushes it off, calling them righteous idiots. According to him, the guild doesn't meddle in conflicts between other guilds. Sakura reminds him that protecting the people should always come first, and interfering in guild wars is a choice. Orochi, though, thinks that to maintain order, they need a stronger leader than the Hunter Association. Sparks fly as the two S-rank hunters exchange icy glares. Sakura is already starting to put the pieces together. Orochi is here for the same reason she is, and she's not about to let him outsmart her. She didn't expect Orochi to cause such a commotion to lure out the irregular. She tries to stop him, but it's no use, until a gate pops up and takes over the situation. The students scramble to evacuate as chaos ensues. Sakura asks Orochi for help, but he's not interested, calling the blue gate a small fry. With that, the so-called Japan's finest S-rank hunter leaves her to deal with it alone before heading back to his guild. As he walks away, he mulls over the immense magic power he sensed when the gate broke. Someone with the ability to completely erase their presence and blend in. He's convinced a monster is on the loose. He walks away thinking about getting prepared to cope with it. Meanwhile, inside the school, skeletons and ghouls start chasing the students. Thankfully, Sakura arrives just in time to save them, even though she's outnumbered and they are a lot more than expected. She amps up her abilities with a lightning boost and saves a girl from getting eaten. The students watch in awe as she takes down the monster's jaws practically on the floor. Sakura tells them to evacuate, reassuring them she'll handle the situation. Despite the chaos, some students stay to fight alongside her. The skeletons and ghouls aren't too much of a threat since they're the lowest rank monsters, so Sakura is not too concerned about the students' safety. However, the will-o-wisps are a different story. They can use magic, though there aren't many of them. Sakura detects a massive surge of mana and rushes to the source. To her surprise, she finds a sacred circle, and she immediately suspects the one she's been looking for has summoned it. Takeru, using the sacred circle, clears out all the monsters in one go. Just as he's finishing up, Sakura calls out to him, and he quickly closes the gate and escapes. She follows him using her lightning boost for speed, but it doesn't seem to be enough to catch him. Takeru doesn't want to show his identity, so he is trying to escape quickly. He could go faster if he wanted, but his physical boost is limited by Kusunagi's body's current strength. He knows he needs to train and improve his physical abilities, but doesn't want to overdo it and end up looking like a titan. Minutes later, he switches to using an aerial boost, and before Sakura even realizes it, he disappears into thin air. She stops chasing after him for now. Once he's far enough from the school, he finally lets his guard down. His bag is in school, but he plans to return to school the next day, confident they won't resume classes today. As he reflects on Sakura, he figures she's a hunter, but she doesn't look quite like he expected. He thought hunters would be more like gallant knights or high-ranking adventurers. When he gets home, his mother hugs him tightly, relieved to see her son is okay after hearing about the monsters at his school. She tells him she's been trying to call him, but he doesn't even know where he dropped his phone. Then she mentions that a friend of his brought the phone back and is waiting in the living room. Thinking it's Sawamura, Takeru walks in expecting to see him but is greeted by Sakura instead. He starts sweating bullets as she thanks him for earlier. He quickly realizes that she's the hunter who was chasing him. Sakura cuts to the chase, saying she needs answers about the recent gate break incidents. As she mentions everything he's been up to, he tries to keep his composure, flashing a fake smile. He admits there's no point in running away, but he can't talk openly about it with his mom around, or she might get the wrong idea. He invites her to talk in his room, which only makes the situation more awkward. His well-meaning mom offers to buy them cake, but by the time they're in his room, the cake's forgotten. Takeru looks for some black tea to break the tension, but the air between them is still heavy with awkwardness. Not in the mood for small talk, Sakura gets straight to the point, demanding to know who Takeru really is. She warns that if he doesn't cooperate or tries to lie, she'll restrain him. Takeru, on the other hand, mentally compares Sakura to a Pomeranian dog, wondering how things got this awkward. Taker decides to keep his mouth shut, but he can't help but think of Sakura as a beautiful wild boar, awkwardly treading carefully, like she's walking on eggshells. He wonders if she'll believe his story about being a hero from another world, or if she'll just think he's making stuff up. As Sakura gets frustrated at his silence and lunges to restrain him, Taker tries to defend himself by claiming he's not a bad guy. He even throws an amnesia as an excuse to back up his innocence. When she asks how he can use advanced magic and stay so calm around monsters, he tells her it's just something he can do for no reason at all. He hears his own answer and knows she's not buying it. Still pinning him against the wall, Sakura gets even more serious, pointing out that with his power, he could easily be the top-tier hunter. Takeru, however, makes it clear that he's not interested in hunting for fame, social status, or privileges. All he wants is a peaceful life, nothing more, nothing less. Sakura pauses, then steps back and releases him from her grip. She tells him that as long as he doesn't use his powers to hurt anyone, the Hunters Association won't be a problem. Taker's a little stunned. He can't believe she's just letting him off the hook. Looking back at how he handled the gate breaks, Sakura realizes that all Taker did was protect people. Suddenly, she switches gears and apologizes for chasing him down and being rough on him in his own house. Takeru, feeling guilty, also apologizes for being so suspicious. Even though she acknowledges his strength, she can't help but point out that he's terrible at setting up his phone password, like 4 zeros. Who does that? Once she cracked the code, everything fell into place, and she had an easier time tracking him down. Before she leaves, she admits she became a hunter to protect people and make sure everyone can live in peace. She promises to protect his peaceful life no matter what. This reminds Taker of Edelweiss, and he wonders even in this world there are kind people like her. After giving this heartfelt speech, she walks away feeling relieved that she got his contact info. She smiles, thinking how naive and mysterious he is, all while still being a little puzzled by his phone. Little does she know, Taker's struggling to understand all the features, like a confused grandpa trying to work an iPad. Just then, the old man reappears, scolding Sakura for using her phone while walking. The next day, as Taker jogs through the streets, an LED display flashes up, showing a C-rank hunter party called Wing Guard. The residents are totally into them, calling them local heroes. As Taker overhears people arguing about who's the cutest member of the party, he rolls his eyes and thinks, really? Meanwhile, Kazami High School is temporarily closed because of the gate break, giving Taker some free time to enjoy his morning jog. He's still not sure if he's doing it right, but at least he's moving. Back in his previous world, his mentor used to watch him train with a sword, always right next to him. It was nerve-wracking, but it helped him get stronger. Suddenly, a commotion pulls his attention away from his thoughts. People are gathered around a black gate, and from the looks of it, they're waiting for something big to happen. Taker knows that a black gate takes time to break open, and once it does, strong monsters will start spilling out. To close it, they'll need to defeat the boss monster inside. Seeing the crowd waiting around the gate, Taker wonders if Sakura will show up to deal with it. Taker debates whether he should jump straight into the gate to check if it leads back to the world he once knew. Before he can make a decision, someone taps him on the shoulder, announcing that the wait is over. It's Vanguard, the local heroes squad everyone's been buzzing about. The group is as dramatic as ever. Shika, their calm and composed member, apologizes for their loud leader, Mamoru, whose voice could probably wake the dead. Meanwhile, Yuichi advises Mamoru to tone it down, and Matsuri chimes in, saying Mamoru's loudness is, well, part of his charm. The crowd loves them, though. It's like watching a celebrity red carpet moment, but with monsters in the background. Meanwhile, the crowd erupts in cheers when the local heroes arrive for the second time. Mamoru nearly blows out Taker's eardrums as he loudly promises to destroy the gate and protect everyone. Shika warns him to stop messing while heading towards the gate. As they charge into the gate, Taker's mind drifts back to his mentor, Grotto, the Kingdom Army general, who looks suspiciously like Mamoru. Back during training, Taker could never land a hit on Grotto. Every time he thought he saw an opening, Grotto was always one step ahead, claiming victory while Taker covered his ears from the general's booming voice. Grotto would always tell him he was chosen by God for a reason, as he earns magic too quickly. but Takeru never understood why he couldn't land a hit despite improving so much. Grotto would explain that a powerful attack always leaves an opening, and timing and precision are everything. Then, during one of their training sessions, a demon suddenly appears and attacks them out of nowhere. Grotto starts fighting the demon, but somehow the demon succeeds in cutting off Grotto's left arm in one swift move. Takeru, frozen in horror, can't even move. Desperately, Grotto tells him to run, but Takeru refuses to leave. Grotto, looking like a man on the edge of breaking, confesses that he couldn't bear to lose someone he considered his grandchild. He urges him to escape as it's been only 3 months since he came into this world. Takeru, heartbroken, swings his sword with everything he's got, as he already decided to change his old timid self. Takeru lunges at the demon, trying to find an opening to make his move. In the end, he succeeds in defeating the demon. Afterward, he tells Grotto that he wouldn't be able to bear losing someone like him, his only family left. Grotto, with a long face, gives him a tearful 500 billion out of 10 for the swing, even though he's losing blood from his arm. It's an emotional moment, even if Takeru doesn't quite notice he's also bleeding like a leaky faucet. Fast forward 3 hours, and Takeru, while doing his exercise, he thinks about the similarity between the general and Gito. He shifts his focus to doing more cardio workouts to gain some strength and body muscles. He knows Kusunagi's body is different than him, but he is sure that he will be able to make some alterations according to his needs. He has just finished his workout when a commotion grabs his attention. Back at the Black Gate, Mamoru is shouting Chika's name, clearly distressed. It turns out that Chika sacrificed herself to let the others escape, and now she's in serious trouble. Uchi tries to calm Mamoru down, telling him Chika is agile and should be fine, but Mamoru isn't convinced. He slumps to the ground, apologizing to Chika for being a weak leader. The crowd starts to panic, worried that monsters could start pouring out of the gate at any moment. Takeru, feeling helpless, decides to wait for the rescue team, but just as he's thinking it over, he realizes he's unconsciously stepped into the gate. Now inside, he has no idea how he got there, but he's sure that if Grotto and Edelweiss were watching, they'd be laughing at his stupidity. He puts his hood up to hide his face and gets to work. Meanwhile, an elf maiden sitting on an ogre's shoulder grins mischievously. She's thrilled that another clueless soul has wandered into her domain. As Takeru runs through the forest, he can't shake the feeling that this place and the monsters remind him of his previous world. After a while, he comes across Mamoru's broken shield, which sends him into overdrive. He rushes to find Chika, and fortunately, he catches up just in time. She is gasping for breath, barely managing to escape a cyclops that's hot on her heels. She's too distracted by worry for her friends to focus on escaping, and the cyclops catches up, sending her tumbling to the ground. But Takeru's not about to let her go down like that. He freezes the cyclops solid, shattering the ice in a heartbeat. After checking on Chika and confirming she's mostly just bruised, he breathes a sigh of relief. Chika, still shaking, thanks him for saving her. He humbly claims he's just a passerby, but she recognizes him right away. Apparently, she's a scout, so she remembers details like his outfit. Takeru, impressed by her memory, quickly steers the conversation to the Cyclops, confirming that it's the boss monster. He suggests they get out of there before her friends start freaking out. Chika sheds a tear when she hears that her team made it out alive. Meanwhile, the elf maiden starts making her move, searching for an exit. As she wonders how he can be so calm, she muses on how he managed to cast the freeze spell without any visible tools or magic enhancements. And then there's the fact that his outfit looks like he's just strolling out of a convenience store. Hardly the look of a kid who'd wander into a black gate alone. While he keeps moving, not realizing how mysterious and slightly ridiculous he probably looks. Chika's deep in thought, but then, bam! Her head crashes right into his back. He's not fazed though, because the next thing he does is grab her knife and use it to deflect a magic beam that's coming at them from above. He does manage to break through the enemy's spell, but of course misses his target. With only one thing on his mind, getting Chika out of there, he swoops her up in a princess carry and bolts like a rocket. Elf, who is keeping an eye on them, gets disappointed as she notices their escape. While for Takeru it's all about saving the day and getting away in one piece. He apologizes for wrecking her knife and promises to buy her a replacement if his allowance ever allows for it, though it's looking a little tight. Chika, though, screams at him, telling him she doesn't care at all about the knife. They speed toward the gate, and Takeru, ever the planner, asks if she has anything that could cover their tracks once they're out. Turns out she's got a smoke screen up her sleeve, but before they leave, he asks her to keep his identity under wraps. After all, saving her is the least she can do, right? As they make their escape, the elf maiden, who's been charging up for another magic beam, finally fires, but they're long gone. Of course, she's not pleased, throwing a little tantrum and swearing she'll come after them, but the gate won't let her through, and there she is, sulking in the corner. Meanwhile, Chika reunites with her crew, and Takeru watches from a distance. He's still trying to wrap his head around it all. Fast forward a bit, Takeru, Sawamura, and Araki find themselves grouped up with a bunch of other students, all of them being absorbed by Oran Academy due to the gate incident. There's a mix of uncertainty in the air, but hey, at least their learning won't be compromised, right? The Academy's got their backs, ensuring they stay on track despite the chaos. Sawamura's thrilled, practically bouncing with excitement to be at such a prestigious place, while Takeru's just trying to stay out of trouble. He's pretty sure he won't be causing any waves, especially not in front of elite hunters. Sawamura's got his eyes on the prize, meeting the big shots like Sakura, a graduate of the Academy and a top-tier hunter. As they tour the Academy, Sawamura can't stop talking about how the school churns out top-tier hunters. It's almost like he's a walking advertisement for the place. Takeru, on the other hand, notices all the students carrying weapons, clearly prepared for any gate break that might happen at any moment. Sawamura, still hyped, asks if Takeru has already met Sakura. He brings up the phone incident where she'd asked for Takeru's address to return it, and Takeru confirms she's nice for going through all the trouble. Sawamura teases him, asking if they'd exchanged contact info. Takeru, ever the skeptic, shuts that idea down. No need to have the fan club hounding him, right? And speaking of her, that's when Sakura shows up, strutting through the hallway like she owns the place. All eyes are on her, but when she spots Takeru, she smiles. Sawamura, not missing a beat, confronts Takeru about the whole phone situation. Takeru just shrugs it off, walking toward the cafeteria with a casual stride. Little does he know, someone's watching him from the background, smirking. Later, Takeru finds himself summoned to Sakura's office. She shows him the video clip of Chika's interview where she calls him her savior. She kept his identity a secret, which is a win in Takeru's book. But Sakura is quick to remind him that she can only cover for him so much. She drops some serious intel about the whole Black Gate incident. It was supposed to be a D-rank mission, but they got hit with an A-rank monster. Then there's the mystery of Takeru, an unregistered irregular, causing more problems than he's solving. Sakura is not sure if Takeru's a friend or foe, but Chika vouches for him, so she's at least giving him the benefit of the doubt, and as if things weren't complicated enough, she brings up the elf maiden, the one who can shoot magic beams like it's no big deal. He might have saved someone in danger, but the mess he's caused is still pretty big. Sakura, though, apologizes for giving him a hard time. After all, he did save the day. She tells Takeru he made the right choice before sending him on his way, but just to make sure he knows, she reminds him that no matter how strong he is in her eyes, he's still just a regular citizen. She makes a promise to protect his peaceful life, asking him to leave the dangerous missions to the hunters for his own safety, and of course for his family's sake. On the way home, Takeru finally gets it. He understands why Sakura has a fan club now. Her kindness is basically magnetic, and of course, just like she warned him, the monsters always find a way to cross his path. Thankfully, the hunters show up just in time to save him, or more like, save him from breaking his own rule. As he stands there doing his best impression of a confused bystander, 4 hunters take down some goblins and the last one brings down an ogre. Oh, and surprise, the blonde guy he saw smirking earlier in the hallway is leading the charge. Real flashy guy. Takeru thanks him, not just for saving him, but also for keeping his uniform clean. But when the blonde guy looks at him closely, it's like a light bulb goes off. He recognizes Takeru. And, of course, being the show-off that he is, the blonde guy calls Takeru by his full name and introduces himself as Byodwin Suma. He claims it's a sign of affection, since Takeru's his future comrade. Suma's underlings pitch in, calling him a genius in spearmanship and an A-rank hunter, which is basically an honor roll of coolness. And just to add to the drama, he's the president of Sakura's fan club. He crosses his fingers hoping to get along with Kusuneji-kun. Takeru's just standing there, wondering if he accidentally walked into a fan fiction. Suma proudly explains that this isn't just any fan club. It's the school's biggest guild, with members who share a deep respect and admiration for Sakura-sama, goddess-like beauty and all. To Takeru's surprise, it's not even a fan club in the traditional sense. The only requirement is to respect Sakura. Whether you're a hunter, a magus, or a regular Joe, Suma gets a bit intense, calling Takeru out for having a passionate gaze during lunch. Takeru just lets it slide, but when Suma mentions his calmness during the monster encounter, he finally clears the air. Turns out it wasn't calm. He was just processing the situation. No big deal. Just then he sees Sakura running towards him, asking if a gate break happened. She then inquires if someone handled it, to which he points towards Suma and his group, but they have already vanished faster than speed of light. The next day, Takeru can't stop thinking about the people he met. He really doesn't want to get dragged into their world, but he knows it's impossible to ignore the power they have. Just as he tries to avoid them, Suma suddenly pops out of a door and greets him with a creepy grin. Takeru, fed up, suggests that Suma stop stalking him, only to find out that Suma is actually in his class. Great, the day's off to a stellar start, and it doesn't help that Suma is literally watching his every move. Takeru tries to ignore him, but it's hard when he follows him everywhere, even into the cafeteria. The guy won't let him eat in peace. Takeru asks Sawamura about Suma, and Sawamura reveals that he's from a prestigious spearman family and earned the title of child prodigy. Oh, and by the way, Suma is in the top 5 A-rank hunters at Orin Academy. So basically a walking, talking legend. Sawamura admits that Suma can be a bit erratic, but his skills are top tier. Later, at the training ground, Takeru is in for a surprise. Gori, their PE teacher, greets the class with enthusiasm that's borderline terrifying. The screams from the students fill the stadium, and Takeru wonders what's got them so fired up about a PE lesson. Sawamura explains that this isn't just a regular class. It's hunter training, and it can only happen if someone from the association signs off on it. Takeru can't believe his luck. Coming from a regular school to experience this, he's practically giddy. Sawamura points out the equipment, a mini house on a tank producing DS monsters, the doppelganger slimes. These slimes can change based on data input, and Takeru's mind is officially blown. He wonders if the students are ready for this level of crazy. Sawamura assures Takeru that the training is totally safe because the monsters are just pseudo-creations, designed by a magus using some seriously advanced tech. It's almost like stepping into a sci-fi movie, and Takeru can't help but marvel at the new world he's stumbling into. As the training begins, Gori, the PE teacher, gets the students geared up to face the DS monsters. They're taking this seriously, but Araki mumbles that there's no way Takeru would be in any real danger. His evil grin seems to confirm that, but it's enough to make Takeru's second guess stepping into the action. Meanwhile, Suma is having his main character moment, wiping out the DS monsters with a flashy technique that earns him a round of applause from his fan club. Now it's Takeru's turn, and he's up against 3 DS goblins. The students cheer, and Gori hands out weapons, recommending a sword for beginners. He grabs one, explaining that he's not too confident with magic. Sawamura and Araki pass on the weapons, relying on their magic instead. Gori gives them the game plan: aim for the monsters' necks, since that's their weak spot. The goblins charge, and Sawamura and Araki easily take them down with fireball spells. Takeru, on the other hand, stands there like he's watching a nature documentary, not moving an inch. Everyone's confused, wondering why he's not even trying to fight. Sawamura tries to encourage him, stressing that the goblins are just pretending to attack. Takeru casually clears the air by revealing that he actually slashed his goblin, and moments later, its head falls off. The crowd goes silent, unsure if he actually swung his sword or if the DS house just bugged out. Takeru plays dumb, and with Araki backing him up, they convince the students that the system's broken. Sawamura's left scratching his head, trying to figure out what just happened, and since then they have gotten so friendly, and we see Suma is glaring at this sight with a hint of darkness on his face. Later, Takeru's hanging out in the library, bored out of his mind. He's looking for a book that might help him get his original body back, but so far, nothing's clicked. Sakura hands him a magazine about Kikyu, Japan's strongest hunter, who fights by possessing heroic spirits. Taker can't help but think this is a little too similar to his own situation, though he didn't exactly plan on taking over Kusunagi's body. As he wonders about the possibility that the other Taker might be in the same boat, Suma pops out of nowhere admitting that he has gotten interested in him, and his words are enough to shock Takeru. In response, Suma instantly corrects himself with a direct question: is he hiding his true power? He reveals his habit of observing people, and in Takeru's case he is unable to see his power. Takeru insists he's just a normal student with amnesia, but Suma isn't buying it. He's pretty sure Takeru's hiding something big. Takeru tunes him out, thinking of Suma as a carrot. Don't ask. Suma, still intrigued by Takeru's strength, mentions that he's pretty sure Takeru's above the master's level. Wearing his usual smirk, he suggests a sparring match sometime, but Takeru insists he's just a regular student. Suma then shifts his attention to the magazine, talking about how Kikyu is top tier and mentioning that he once tried to duel her. Spoiler alert, he got crushed. Takeru, curious now, asks if he can meet Kiko, and Suma tells him that she recently left after a gathering of martial artists at his place. But not to worry, Suma knows how to use his family's connections to possibly set up a meeting. Takeru's so excited he almost forgets how to breathe, seeing an opportunity to get what he wants. Suma strikes a deal. He'll help Takeru meet Kiko, but in exchange, Takeru has to show off his abilities in a duel. A short time later, Takeru and Suma head to one of the black gates at the academy, a place where students train. Suma doesn't even need to ask permission. He just walks right in like he owns the place. They don't even pay attention to the raging bull behind them. Suma can't wait for their mock battle, but Takeru demands one thing before they start: introduce him to Kiko and keep his powers a secret. Suma agrees, and, moments later, the duel begins. Takeru dodges all of Suma's attacks with ease, and when he tries to retaliate, Suma blocks it, which surprises Takeru a little. Suma keeps charging, but neither of them lands a hit. Takeru, a little annoyed by Suma's constant trash talk, warns him to dodge the final slash. For a second, Suma sees his head fall off, except it's just an illusion created by Takeru's bloodlust. Distracted by the trick, Takeru goes for a quick foot sweep, ending the duel in his favor. Suma slowly gets up, praising Takeru's skills. He even admits that Takeru's strength is above his rank, but he's still hungry for more action. Looks like Suma has just met someone who's a worthy challenge. Suma asks for another round, but things take a turn when the great bull breaks free from its restraints and transforms into a Minotaur. Suma can't believe this beast can evolve, and Takeru is ready to take it down himself. Suma, however, steps in, offering to hold off the monster so Takeru can escape. He tries to help, but Takeru refuses. As the leader of the Aran society, Suma proclaims they all share the same goal: to protect everyone's peace from the monsters. He knows Takeru can defeat the Minotaur with a flick of his pinky, but he treats him like an ordinary person. Suma continues to fight, still convinced that protecting others is the real strength. Takeru watches, slightly confused by Suma's dedication. In a flashback, Suma reflects on his junior high school days, winning countless matches and taunting his opponents. He was praised for being a child prodigy, but his father reminded him that talent alone wouldn't get him anywhere. But Suma is already done with his father's speech, so he walks away carelessly, leaving his father screaming behind him. Suma was more interested in being praised than in learning real strength. He was satisfied with the life he had. He recalls a time when he skipped training and was walking carelessly, thinking about his father's advice about the monsters. Just then he stumbled upon a black gate where a monster was wreaking havoc, and prideful like always he rushes to fight the monster, swinging his spear. His sudden entry concerns the authorities as he is just a school kid. They are waiting for an S-rank hunter to come. It was then that a girl with a ribbon tied to her hair appeared on the scene and told everyone to step aside.
Here I am, know it's been a while.